Now I would like to show you some highlights from our work on phase 1, particularly those that are more related to ethnobotany. Our work in phase 1 took place in 4 countries and was active in different types of landscapes. For that, we worked with different consortium country organizations that were the local partners who actually implemented the work in the field. Now I would like to briefly show you some results from the diagnostic phase, which is the one related to ethnobotany. In the photo, for example, you can see women from Myanmar that are discussing about neglected and underutilized species in the village. That is the first step in the diagnostic phase of the Farmer Field School. Here you can see the results of a resource flow map of local food plants, particularly neglected and underutilized species. In this exercise, FFS participants were asked to draw in the middle their house, and surrounding the house the different environments or places where they obtain local food plants. For example, could be the market, the forest, the home garden, the agricultural field, and the different arrows represent different species that are brought from different places to the house. Also, you can see here that they are highlighting the role of men and women, indicating which species are collected or bought or gathered by men and which ones by women. Another interesting exercise also that has an ethnobotanical nature is the identification of the bottlenecks for the consumption of local food plants. So we ask farmers, what are the main problems that prevent you from consuming local food plants? If they are so important for the diet, why you are not eating them? So then they listed, in Zimbabwe, for example, different concerns, like their taste, they don't like the taste, or they didn't like the color. Or it has a stigma, like it is associated to people that are suffering from HIV/AIDS, because the health service recommended them to consume a certain species because they are very nutritional. So they don't want other people to see them eating these plants. Another concerns or bottlenecks are their unpleasant smell, that because it takes a long preparation to cook them, or the seed dormancy. So once the farmers identified the bottlenecks for the consumption of local plants, they said, okay, we are having this problem. So now, what are we going to do? What are going to be our objectives? What kind of FFS activities we would like to implement to tackle these bottlenecks? For example, for the problems of taste, for the plants that are not tasty. What they did is they had cooking demonstrations, for instance, inviting local chefs or nutritional experts. For that, farmers went into small groups to discuss and discover how best to address the problem before sharing to the large group. And in the process, they came up with different recipes, which resulted in some of these species becoming palatable and tasty. Children didn't like the taste of most of the vegetables, but they worked on this and tried to develop also recipes that made these species more tasty for children, and they were successful. Farmers prepared various dishes, including cakes, sausages, and fritters. The appreciation to start preparing and consuming some of these neglected crops were demonstrated by the enthusiasm shown by participants as they consumed the different dishes that were prepared during the training sessions. In Peru, FFS participants developed a recipe book, with different recipes for these neglected and underutilized species. In general, what were the main highlights from phase 1 in relation to nutrition and local food plants? The implementation of 154 FFS, 12,931 households directly reached, and 62,873 households indirectly reached. 139 cases of local plants more frequently gathered or cultivated. Now I would like to move to the last part of the presentation, that is about our work in phase 2, 2019 to 2022. The work on nutrition and local food plants is expanded to 7 countries. We are working in Guatemala, Peru, Uganda, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Nepal, and Laos. For the implementation of the work, we are working with country partner organizations and country offices of Oxfam. What is the plan for phase 2? We started last year with a general methodological workshop in The Hague. Then we started the second half of last year with a baseline study that is addressing local plants and diets to have the general context. Then this year, we were going to have the training of trainers, but it was not possible to do it because of COVID-19 related measures, like it is not possible to gather or to travel. So then we are looking for alternatives that I'm going to explain you later on in the slides. After the training of trainers, the establishment of FFS at community level is going to take place. We hope this year, depending on the situation. And finally, we will also have activities related to policy advocacy on the importance of agrobiodiversity for nutrition. Let's start explaining the baseline. What are the objectives of the baseline? The baseline is important to describe how is the situation at the beginning of the project in relation to the households and all into the diets and the local food plans. It's also important to collect data for later impact assessment and to help inform the development of the training of trainers that is going to happen, that is a TOT. The training of trainers is very important because it's a moment where the first team of trainers and facilitators for farm and field schools is going to be trained. And the other objective of the baseline is to prepare briefing notes for policy advocacy and broader stakeholder involvement. So the good news is that we published our baseline tool on nutritional local food plans, and you can see it in our website. In the baseline tool, you will see that it has two components. One is the household survey, where there are a series of modules, and all of this information is in the tool that is published in our website. Some modules could be useful for you because some of them are focusing on collecting ethnobotanical data. Like, for example, local food plant acquisition or free listings on local food plants that are the assessment of plant use and plant knowledge. Now we are in the process of analyzing data from the first survey round. The other component of the baseline is a local food plant baseline. And the idea is to have at the end a list of most recognized species, which ones, to know which ones have a very rich nutritional value, and particularly in relation, which are the species that help to tackle local nutrient deficiencies. Which ones play a key role during food scarcity periods, and which ones contribute to food groups that are absent in the diet. At the moment, we are in the process of identifying these key species. So we are not ready with the baseline yet, but still I would like to share with you some very preliminary baseline results. So in general, in relation to dietary diversity, we assessed dietary diversity with a household dietary diversity score, the HDDS, and we found that most households in Zimbabwe and Laos did not report consuming roots and tubers. 79% of households in Zimbabwe and 83% of households in Laos did not report consuming legumes, nuts, and seeds. 68% of households in Uganda and 82% of households in Guatemala did not report consuming fruits, and more than half families in Zimbabwe did not report consuming vitamin A-rich fruits. So this is really highlighting the main problems in the diet. Another important set of results is in relation to the food scarcity and the consumption of local plants. For example, almost all households in Uganda and 81% of households in Zimbabwe reported having a food scarcity period with a mean length of 3 and 5 months, respectively. And also, most households in Uganda reported consuming local food plants that are specific to periods of food scarcity, with an average of 4 plants per household. So there is a prevalent food scarcity period, and local food plants play and may play even a stronger role to help families to cope with food insecurity in this time. Now I would like to share with you where are we now with our work on Pharma Field Schools, FFS. So I'm very happy to tell you that we published the first ever in the world FFS field guide on nutrition and local food plans, and is freely available in our website. You can see it. I would be happy to see your comments on what do you think about it, if you like it, how can it be improved, and so on. We are also going to publish very soon our online course on FFS on nutrition and local food plans that also is going to be freely available for everybody. And we decided to organize and to prepare materials for this online course because of the COVID-19 related measures that we could not travel to give the trainings of trainers. It was not possible to travel, and also it was not possible for people to gather for the trainings. So in this online course, we are going to train and to prepare the different country teams for them to organize themselves the trainings of trainers that is going to train the first generation of Farmer Field Schools facilitators on nutrition and local food plans. This course will be also soon published in our website. In our field guide, you will be able to see different diagnostic exercises. Many of them are of ethnobotanical nature, and this may be useful for you. For example, if you would like to do some research in the field for your thesis, you are free to use some of these exercises. They are very detailed, the different steps, even how to document the information that you are going to capture in the field. So the traditional knowledge, for example, for instance. In our field guide, we also have a list of farmer field school activities that these are implementation activities, like sowing local food plants, vegetative propagation, harvesting wild food plants, seed storage, seed germination and breaking seed dormancy, food preservation, food preparation and cooking demonstrations, seed fairs, food fairs, growing local food plants in home gardens, and creating school gardens, and more activities will come in the coming years. This list of activities was born based on our experience in phase 1. So this is actually the type of activities that farmers in phase 1 said that they would like to have. These are the activities that help tackle the main bottlenecks associated to local food plant use as identified by farmers in the different countries. So the FFS field guide is a big document, 160 pages, and is very broad and is very wide with different activities explained to conduct in the field. But for that, it's important for FFS participants, facilitators, and country organizations to look for external collaboration, because it's important to establish relevant collaborations and alliances with local and national stakeholders in order to be able to have support for the different activities. It is important to highlight the farmer field schools. They don't have to do everything. They don't have to implement all the activities. The idea is that they are going to choose the activity or activities that are going to help them tackle the main problems in relation to nutrition and the consumption of local food plants that they identified, thanks to the help of the diagnostic exercises. So different collaborations could take place locally, like with health and nutrition centers, schools, chefs, extension services, herbariums, universities for the identification of the plants, government departments, nutritionists, and so on. To finalize the presentation, I would like to share with you some ideas. It's a brainstorm of potential topics for university students. For example, for botany and ethnobotany students may be interested in literature reviews on different aspects related to local food plant species as required by country partners. For instance, helping them to access English language literature in those countries where they don't speak English. Also, medicinal properties of local food plants, cultural values associated to local food plants, understanding consumer preferences related to local species, and evaluating networks of seed exchange. These are activities that complement the activities that we are doing in the field. For communication students, for example, preparing a video on local food plants and nutrition, or a global recipe book on healthy diets with local biodiversity, or infographics, illustrations on local plants and nutrition are always also welcome. Thank you very much for your attention, and don't forget to start eating local food plants at home.